Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are around the globe. Welcome to the AI for Good Global Summit, always online, all year round. I'm Chris Bockman, presenting the AI for Good Perspectives. Like most of the world, the AI for Good Global Summit has gone digital with weekly discussions, online programming, all allowing us to reach even more people throughout 2020. AI for Good Perspectives offers expert insights, global visions, and shared solutions from all the AI for Good community. And today, I'm delighted to be joined from New York by Jeanne Meister. She's the founding partner in Future Workplace, an HR advisory firm. And there she is right now. Hi, Jeanne.
Hello, good evening.
So tell us, first of all, just so we know, what exactly is your company, Future Workplace?
We're an HR advisory and membership firm. So we work with heads of human resources, heads of talent, to help prepare them and their teams for the future of work. We've created the Future Workplace Academy, which is a portfolio of online courses. And one course is particularly relevant to our discussion today. It is called Using AI for HR. 5 weeks, and it profiles 12 HR leaders that I believe are pushing the envelope in using AI across the employee lifecycle.
Okay, we'll get there in a second, but you've written for Forbes, and we can't get away from, well, we're doing this remotely, digitally, because of the virus. And you've written that the virus is becoming the accelerator of one of the greatest workplace transformations of our lifetime. How we work, exercise, shop, learn, communicate, and of course, where we work will be changed forever. Elaborate.
Well, that was written in March 31st. And actually, when I wrote that, Chris, never did I think I would still be in my home office today on October 28th. I think what we've seen is here in North America, everything that we have taken for granted on the work, our office, how we communicate with our team members it's a clean slate. What we're seeing here is a couple of things. Number one, remote work is here to stay. It's no longer, we're going to try it out. Growing number of companies are saying remote work will be permanent. Number two, I've written in Forbes, as you mentioned, the future workplace will be a blended workforce of humans, gig workers, contract workers, and machines. That is more true than ever as companies increase their use of artificial intelligence. And the third really big trend I see, I wrote an article for Harvard Business Review in August called 21 HR Jobs of the Future. And the thesis of that article was that AI is not replacing jobs, rather it is creating jobs. So instead of humans versus machines as a future scenario, what I am seeing is humans working side by side with machines.
Jeanne, you say that digital and remote working is here to stay. Why are you so sure of that? Is that because bosses have realized it's cheaper?
I think right now they realize it can be done. There has been an increase in productivity. I think the biggest worry is that the impact on employee burnout and in well-being. It's not so much that we're working from home, Chris, we're really living at work. And that's a very different scenario than what we might have done for teleworking or working from home months or years ago. Now, this greatest remote work experience on a global level ever is impacting everyone from the CEO all the way down throughout the organization. And they're finding, gosh, I can make it work. But the beginning of the pandemic, that Forbes article I wrote, the focus was on how do we train our workers and our managers to lead a global remote workforce? How do we help them create an optimal virtual and physical workspace? Now that conversation has moved to how do we ensure their well-being and resilience during a very difficult time? So we're really starting to see a whole host of remote work health benefits and looking at not just the employee, which often companies look from the benefits point of view or a total rewards, it's the employee. Today, they're looking at the entire family unit because that's the unit that organizations are now putting their focus on.
There's no question there's advantages. Look, you're talking to me from your office home in New York, and I'm in Toulouse in the south of France, in my home. And yours is lovely, by the way. But what AI can't do, and one of the things that's come across with remote working is that people feel isolated, they feel depressed, they're not talking to their bosses, they feel they're cut off. AI can't measure that, can it?
No, but we're seeing a lot innovations in using artificial intelligence for mental health, right? And I think we're going to continue to see innovations in this area. We have a number of companies here in the United States where you can engage in counseling on the phone, and that's, I think, fast moving to conversations with a bot. Now, nothing will replace a human interaction in no way, shape, or form, but companies are actually trying everything to ensure the well-being of their workers. That is their biggest concern right now.
Now, as you say, it's here to stay, working remotely. That means the HR departments have to revolutionize the way they're working and the way they're dealing with their employees, right?
Absolutely. And the whole role of the office, where you work, is going to be changed forever. Companies are not going to get rid of their corporate headquarters. They've invested multi-millions of dollars. But I think we're going to see, and The Economist had said it right a couple of weeks ago, this notion of the optional office. Individuals will do a lot of their focused work at their home office and go to the office, their corporate headquarters or their regional hub, for team meetings or for very specific activities. So it's this new language of the optional office that we're going to see more and more of.
Now, I wasn't aware so much in New York, but I know in Britain, working remotely has already taken off. In the corporate world in France, it hasn't. They're reluctant to see employees. They think they're giving them too much autonomy. So what's your message to the corporates, say on the continent in Europe, that it's okay to let go and let them work from home?
I think the big message is trust your employees. Trust them to do the work on deadline as you've required. They will do it. The hours may change, right? They're going to fit work around the rest of their life because life gets very confusing if you're also managing homeschooling. But the biggest message is one of employee trust and also empathy, understanding what many of our workers are managing very complicated home lives while they're working full time.
Are human resources departments that you know about, are they actually now, as part of their curriculum, as part of their training, is learning how to use AI?
Yes, we developed the very first course on this topic called Using AI for HR. And it is on the Future Workplace Academy website. We won a gold award for excellence. We've since done some research that with 500 global heads of learning and development, and we found the top two concerns with this audience, the number one concern when we asked them, what are the challenges you're facing in 2021? The top concern was the integration of all the different technology platforms into one seamless one that workers can navigate around. But the second one that I have never seen before, the second biggest challenge is upskilling the staff of HR and learning and development, because it is a new world. And many of the team members have to expand their skills and using and understanding how to use artificial intelligence for talent acquisition, for internal talent mobility, for learning and development, for performance and coaching is a top new skill.
Okay, let's sticking to that. Say, okay, I'm in HR. I've been told by my CEO, you've got to find some new talent. How do I use AI to scout external new talent?
So there are a number of technology platforms, AI companies that will help you identify, number one, are you using the right keywords when you're describing your new job role? Are you, and the keywords have everything to do with, are you casting a wide net so that you're hiring as diverse a global talent pool as possible? That's number one. Number two, there are a number of companies like Alio and Maya, to name two, that have automated the very manual recruiting functions that are requiring to source talent and get them into the interview process. And number three, there are a number of video interviewing AI-powered platforms where you could do some video screening. Now, as for the last 7 months, all the recruiting has been both using AI to tap external talent and complete virtual remote recruiting and onboarding. But the most innovative use case of AI in the talent sphere is AI for internal talent mobility. That's the new thing that we're going to hear a lot more about. One global company actually based in Paris is Schneider Electric, an early adopter of using a AI platform. It's called the Open Talent Market. And what that does is, in a sense, creates a LinkedIn for your internal employees so they can build profiles, share their credentials, and then navigate through all the different possible jobs or stretch assignments to grow the breadth of their skills and capabilities.
Now, AI is not infallible, right? If the data is not kind of done correctly, there's an example, and I think you talk about it. AI was used to see who was claiming unemployment illegally. And in fact, loads of people, they're looking for fraud, and they came up with the wrong people. These were hardworking people. So AI is not infallible.
Correct. Garbage in, garbage out. The American saying, I think. Yes, it so much depends on what goes into the algorithm. And that's why in my Harvard Business Review article, 21 HR Jobs of the Future, we identified a new HR job role called the Human Bias Officer. And this individual, think of this as the bias ethics officer, to really do due diligence on what is in these algorithms. Are they transparent? What are the assumptions? How often are they updated? Are they explainable? And very importantly, are companies communicating the data they're acquiring on all their workers, how they're using it, and for how long they're acquiring that data? Think of the volumes of data that is going to be required now. When you go to work in the United States, often before you enter the building, you might have your temperature taken, right? You're going to have to write a self-assessment questionnaire about the places you visited. Is anyone sick in your family? The volumes of health and protocol data that companies are on the cusp of creating makes a job like the human bias officer critical.
HR departments, I mean, if they're young or they're engineering backgrounds or in certain types of companies, I can see them embracing this. But a lot of HRs are going to be full of people who, they're only discovering AI and what it means now. How do you convince them to persuade them to take this on board?
It's all about it's not focusing on technology or AI. It's really focusing on what's the business problem that you're trying to solve. And is AI part of that solution? So with using AI for talent acquisition, the business problem that companies like Hilton and Marriott were solving there as early adopters of using AI for recruiting is the speed to identify new talent in what's called high volume jobs. Like a high volume job in the lodging industry is customer call centers, operators, right? And so how do you increase the speed of identifying who can, who's a fit for your organization, find them, interview them, make them an offer, and get them onboarded. And that whole process, how to make that more efficient and effective is one of the big problems. And that's why a lot of early adopter companies in the lodging industry have used AI for this for probably the last 4 or 5 years.
Couple more questions before we close. How will you see the work of HR professionals change thanks to AI, say, if we were having this conversation in 10 years from now?
I think the current pandemic and the digital transformation of organizations and HR creates a wonderful and an opportunity for HR leaders to step up and really change their game. Though I see the opportunity for HR leaders similar to what finance leaders dealt with in 2008 in the global financial crisis. The really forward-looking finance leaders were really focused on workforce transformation, on data analytics, and they changed the game for finance, and they solidified their position as a C-suite executive. That same opportunity is presented today for HR executives.
You've touched in some of your speeches on the 2030 agenda, and AI and HR is working on that. For those who don't know what that is, what is the 2030 agenda and what this is all about?
Well, the 2030 agenda is what are the new skills and capabilities that workers and leaders need in the future? And I referred to them in many ways as Z-shaped skills. And there's an actual picture of that in one of my Forbes columns, but it really looks at that I believe everyone should have not only deep business skills, but deep technology skills. And added to that, where the Z is, are skills, the human power skills of creativity and collaboration and cultural intelligence. These are skills that machines are not going to take over. Machines deal with the science of the job, and humans deal with the emotion of the job or the art of the job. So I think for the 2030 agenda, we all have to take an inventory of our skills and capabilities along our business skills, our technology skills, and our human skills. And ask ourselves, what do we want to close the gap on as we strive for 2030?
And of course, the ITU will be a key facilitator of all that.
Absolutely.
Jeanne Meister from New York, thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
We'll have so much more from the AI for Good Global Summit. Do stay tuned. Again, we're online all year round. Thank you.